This is your family's first and most important line of defense against Mother Nature. When she strikes, make sure you call the people that I trust, my family and friends at Exterior Home Solutions.
Exterior Home Solutions 2-minute drill on this Thursday, Tennessee's second practice, and will be their final practice in just, jerseys and pants. They'll be out there in shells coming up on Saturday when Tennessee reconvenes. A weird off day tomorrow, just 2 days into fall camp. The highlight of the day, Alec Ablin, just kind of real speak, Hubs, I asked him specifically about just growing in year 2 as a recruiter. And he talked about, feeling dejected, kind of referenced, when Jaden Riddell picked Georgia. Even said it was not looking great into December. Then all of a sudden, you do really well in the transfer portal. He cultivated relationships with a couple of tight ends in this class. Now, he can't call them by name, but we're talking about Jack Van Doorslayer, who was Tennessee's first commit, and then one of the most recent commits, that being Desan Brame. He's had a nice little run here in growth in year 2.
Yeah, and I think that's, everybody wondered when he got the job. Okay, this is a guy getting promoted. Wait a minute, they didn't even interview anybody else. What's Josh Heupel doing there? And obviously Josh Heupel believed in him. And I think there was pressure. Alec Abrams felt the pressure of, hey, he's entrusted me to do this, and I'm just getting whipped on the recruiting trail in year 1. And it wasn't because of a lack of effort. It wasn't because of a lack of learning. It was a lack of relationships. He hadn't been on the road. He hadn't done a whole lot. You see the byproduct now of the relationships he's built over the course of the last year. And what he's getting, you just appreciate somebody who's just pretty raw and pretty honest about it. And he completely was. He didn't say, I failed. It was just, I had to learn. And he is learning and has obviously done a good job so far.
Speaking of learning, growing, and building off of an offseason that saw him kind of sidelined, is Peyton Lewis, who in, just a few months has really kind of learned the offense from afar, and now is getting to kind of implement that in fall camp.
Yeah, he said, there's a benefit. I mean, not a benefit, but a byproduct of him not being able to go through spring practice physically is that everything was about growth mentally and trying to learn everything, and now he's trying to marry it together. Feels like physically he could really focus on that because he's not swimming mentally because of everything that he learned. There's a huge opportunity there behind Dylan Sampson. What is that going to look like? It'll start to shake out when they get into pads, and I'm sure, as Peyton Lewis said, look, there's a lot of mistakes, a lot of things to learn from. Those mistakes will show up when you get into pads with more pass protection work and all that kind of stuff. But a guy that made the most of what he had to deal with in the spring, which was being sidelined, but he tried to take advantage of it mentally.
Got to hear from Bennett Warren today, who has done some offseason training work down in Texas with former Vols Zach Fulton.
Yeah, one of my favorite Vols. Zach Fulton, the guy came and earned an offer at camp and turned into a really nice player here. Bennett is a guy whose body has changed a lot, over a rather short period of time. He's like all the rest of those offensive linemen when they first get here. It's fast, and they have no idea how fast it is. And he's going through that transition right now. That's the byproduct of not being here in the spring. For a guy like Jesse Perry and Gage Ginther and those guys, they work through that speed element in 15 spring practices. Bennett Warren's trying to work through it now. But as a guy who's got a great frame to work with, you look at those young tackles that they've got and what they're trying to get out there in the recruiting trail, that part of the offensive line could look dramatically different soon.
Speaking of Jesse Perry out the door, he arrived at 274. He's 310. A guy that has dramatically changed and is, he's yoked. He's a big sucker now.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, we probably don't talk about it enough because Kurt Schmidt and that whole strength staff just is.
Yeah, they do a really good job. They work under the radar.
So does the nutrition staff.
Yeah.
You look at the body fat and the makeup of this team physically. They've got some stuff going on in nutrition that really is paying dividends with weight gain and cleaning and leaning guys up. Davin Hobbs is another one of those guys. He's not lighter. He looks lighter. He looks leaner. So does Weathersby. But all those guys are heavier. Nutrition's been really good for Tennessee.
All right. With that said, I'm going to head over to the nutrition bar and to Kurt Schmidt and see if they can get this little fat boy in shape over the next few weeks. He's Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price.